Hey, what's up, Liron here. Today I want to share with you 3 tips for painting and drawing better people. So let's get to it. I'm going to get started with number 1 here, and that is eye level. A very important concept. Few understand it, and it has to do with how you draw people. And what you have to understand is with every scene you're going to paint, you're going to have the sky and the ground. What separates these two is the horizon line. Now here's the tricky bit. Your height is always the height of the horizon line. If you're standing up, you're gonna look at the horizon line, it's gonna be your height. If you're gonna fly in an airplane, go up above, the horizon line is gonna come with you upwards. That's just how it works. Don't believe me? Test it out, and I can actually prove it with a video here. But the thing is, everyone is approximately your own height. So what does that mean about where we're gonna place the people in our scene? That is correct. They're going to be straight directly on the horizon line. So if I throw in a bunch of people into a scene, they're all going to be on the horizon line, whether they're farther, closer, doesn't matter. Now, if someone's a little shorter than you, they're going to be a little under the horizon line. If someone's a little taller than you, they're going to be a little above the horizon line. That's the simple truth of it. And you can tell what's higher than you if it goes up above the horizon line. Usually. There's another point to that. Everything I told you so far only applies if you're on a flat plane. As soon as you're looking uphill or downhill, or if the ground itself is a little tilted, or if there are hills or anything like that, it's going to affect that, and you're going to have to take that into consideration. So a hill in the farther distance is going to raise up everything that is on it, correct? A street that is going up, something like a San Francisco thing, is going to affect everything so that people that are farther from you are actually going to be higher. So that's something you need to account for. Now, how do you account for it? How do you measure it? How do you figure it out? By understanding it. First off, understand when it's a level plane, everyone's going to be on the horizon line. People that are closer to you, that are farther from you. If it's raised, now you're going to have to work from that horizon line and imagine everything being raised up. Open up a bunch of reference photos. Look at how things look in real life. Once you understand it, you'll be able to draw it. Once you're able to draw it, you'll be able to paint it, or you can just paint it directly. Now let's get to my second point. And that is probably the most crucial thing. I actually did a short video on this. Follow your own vision. What I mean by that is every person will look different. And every person is going to be perceived by you differently. And if you truly want to capture the essence of a person, I think the easiest way to do it is by following your own vision. And what I mean by that is there are some preconceived ways of painting people. You've seen them all around. Copycats of other artists, right? Where people paint figures and people like Joseph Zbukvic, like Alvaro Castanet. I've talked about this before, once again in a short video. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. It's not correct or incorrect. The only problem is that you are looking at something and painting something else. And if you're interested in looking at something and painting that thing the way you perceive it, according to your own vision, you're gonna have to move beyond methods and shticks and ways of other artists to portray your subject matter. It happens with cars, it happens with trees. We have this tendency to simplify in our mind what things should look like. And if we follow that simplification, either by what we've learned, so we draw as kids, we draw sausage fingers, or what we've seen other artists do, right? That simplification, there's nothing wrong with that. And it could be even great training wheels. But if you're trying to capture things as they are, you're gonna have to follow your own vision. And that makes every person you'll paint look differently, and look unique, and look interesting. And people aren't just going towards you and away from you. People are going to the side. People are sitting down. People are standing up. People are crouching. People are leaning against walls. People are walking their dogs. People are jogging. Everyone looks differently. And if you're able to look at it, understand it, observe it, and paint it, you'll get a unique impression that is truly your own. Lastly, I want to talk about the third tip, and that is people are a part of the environment At the end of the day, if you draw a large scene with people in it, they're gonna be and look like a part of that environment. Now, I'm excluding cases where you're painting people, maybe something like Udes Correa, where he focuses on the figures, and that's okay. You can focus on just one or two figures. You can do portraits even. Doesn't matter. I'm talking about if you do want to show a bit of the environment. Remember that people are a part of it. So both the tips I gave you earlier will help you make the people a part of the environment by placing them correctly, right? And by painting them as you see them. But one thing to remember is we talked about reflected light lately. We've talked about how every light source in the environment affects each other and everything reflects light onto other objects. So if you have a strong sunlight, the glow is gonna pour on the people in your scene. If you have artificial lights, neon lights, doesn't matter. It's all gonna glow on the people. It's gonna influence them. One person may reflect light onto another person. And the way to have them look like part of the environment is by truly seeing them for what they are and what they look like. Could be a challenge, could take time, but it's more about the understanding. And that understanding can happen in an instant. It doesn't have to be a long, arduous process over years of figuring it out. It can happen instantly. But to get them to look like a part of the environment, you'll have to truly see them. Now, a big part of it, by the way, and that's a quick little hack for you, is putting cast shadows. Once you put a cast shadow on a person, it anchors them to the surface, to the ground, to whatever it is, to grass. If they're on grass, the cast shadow is going to be affected by the grass's texture, right? And that's another way of making them look like a part of the environment. And that's pretty much all the 3 tips I have for you. Let's recap. Number 1, horizon line and eye level, okay? Number 2, follow your own vision if you truly want to paint people the way they look like. And 3, make them a part of the environment. If you want them to look natural, if you want them to not stick out but also be a part of the painting, feel free to try and make them a part of the environment. Now, you can break all these tips I gave you. These aren't rules. You can decide to have a person that glows in the dark and looks completely separate from the environment. It all depends on the story you're trying to tell with your art. None of these are rules. It's all for you to perhaps use, perhaps break, perhaps test out, marry it with your own experience. That would be pretty much the only way to make it your own. And I don't want you to imitate me. I don't want you to have to rely on me. What I want you to do is to discover your own path. That would be the biggest way to achieve complete freedom and joy with watercolor. I hope that helps. And while we're talking about freedom and joy, be sure to check out the frustration-free watercolor course. If you're still feeling a little stifled, if you're still not painting with complete freedom, letting water do the work for you, check it out. It's gonna solve your problem. I'm gonna put the links below. You can watch even a video that explains about it. You'll get all the information you need. And I think you'll find it really useful. And on the topic of drawing, by the way, if you're a part of my Draw Anything course, if you're a member there, I also sent you an email. I have a new lesson up there, so be sure to check that out. It's a new section, whole new lessons. And lastly, I do want to thank everyone who supports me over on Patreon. If you want to receive credits at the end of the videos, be sure to check it out. Thank you so much to everyone who supports me in these strange times, and I'm even more grateful. And by the way, there are a few exclusive posts there, so be sure to check that out. We'll talk to you again real soon. Take care.